everyone, and welcome to this new episode of the podcast. Today we're going to talk about elopement budget and exactly how much does it cost to elope. So I will go on this episode about starting with if you elope in a foreign country, because obviously the budget won't be the same if you elope in your in your garden or at your parents' house. Obviously, it won't be the same because you won't have costs are associated with travel and everything. So I will go and start with saying that this is for only if you elope in a location that is abroad. So stuff that you might think about obviously when you start planning is flights, accommodation, maybe car rental or like any way to get around the country. You also have obviously the cost of vendors, and this is something that is widely underrated in the development cost in general. That is because culturally, some vendors are not used to working with US based couples or like Northern American couples, and so some countries do things differently than what you might be used to, and so the prices might be very different. A very real example of this is the cost of a celebrant. So because in Europe we don't do ceremonies or legally binding outside, except for Scotland, the vast majority of countries just allow legal ceremonies to be held at the city hall. So when you hire a celebrant, like let's say in France or Switzerland or anywhere else, that celebrant is going to be somebody who will come to do a symbolic ceremony. So they will have to work a lot on the background of a couple to write something that is deeply personal and not just have you say the legal stuff like, do you want to marry each other? Yes, okay, perfect. It's not as simple as that. So it will be widely different. And so in general, in France, the cost for a celebrant will be around 1,500 to 1,800 euros. I'm sorry, my wind chime is getting crazy right now. Okay. Yep, we hear you. That's okay. All right. In Switzerland, it's up to 2,000 euros or francs to have a celebrant. So this is something that you need to know before, because you will be surprised by the price difference. I know in the US, it's not like it's pretty common to have a celebrant around $200 to $300. Somebody who comes know very little about a couple. I don't say that everybody's like that. Like I know some celebrants in the US are very, very deeply personal. I'm talking for the majority of the celebrants that you might be used to. Somebody comes and just have you say the legal stuff, just a few words about you two, and that's it. They call it the ceremony, and that's absolutely fine. But in Europe, it's very different because the person who legally marries you is a mayor or somebody from the city hall, anyways. So very different kind of experience. So that is one cost that you have to think about, and that is also why most of my couples choose to have a more symbolic ceremony without any celebrant at all. Other vendors to consider, I will go the easiest and more obvious first, a photographer. So a photographer is somebody who's going to take photos of your day. So you have different kinds of photographers as well, different styles. So you choose whatever fits the vision that you have for the photos that you want. I might move this just a little bit. Sorry, I'm just gonna. I'm sorry, this was annoying. I mean, I love it, but it was way too close. So yes, photographer, choose your style, choose the person that really speaks the most to you, and that can kind of bring your vision to life. apart from the photographer, you might want to have somebody like a planner to kind of bring your vision to life as well, in terms of well, you're going to be in a foreign country, you don't know the culture, you don't know what's possible or not, you don't know the permit rules, you don't know anything, and the planners do. So somebody who's going to tell you, yeah, this is a great option for the ceremony and this is really not possible. So if you plan on going there, actually it's going to be closed during your visit days, or you'll need a permit and it's like 1,500 euros to get that one. You know, somebody who actually knows the regulations and rules in the country that you chose. So same, you can pick anybody that fits your bill and that you really vibe with, because that's very important. Other vendors are hair and makeup artists, and the costs are pretty much the same as that the one you have in the US, like between $300 and $500 for somebody who comes to your hotel to do your hair and makeup, instead of you going someplace else. If you want to go to a salon, then it's going to be much cheaper to have somebody do your hair and makeup, maybe $150 to $200 to have somebody there. For flowers, I would just go with a bouquet and a boutonniere, because that's anything you need if you want flowers. Obviously, you don't need an arch. Generally, like pretty much all the photos that you see online with a wedding arch for an elopement or from style shoots. In real life, we don't use arches for elopements. I know it's very pretty, it's beautiful, but generally speaking, it does not respect the leave no trace policy, so I would not recommend it, because you will have non-native flowers dropping off in a location that is absolutely not prepared to get this kind of flowers on the ground, and you will have to kind of put something in the ground and leave traces behind you, which is the opposite of what I would recommend doing. So do not plan on having an arch unless you go with an elopement venue. In that case, you can do whatever you want. Let's say for like in Italy, for example, you have tons of beautiful elopement venues that you have to pay for, but that you can do, like you can have an arch there, you can decorate something with flowers, and you can do whatever you want. So it's very specific to exactly what is your vision. So yeah, hair and makeup, flowers, celebrant. You have, after that, you have stuff to think about, like your dress or suit or both. Shoes that are kind of practical that you can walk with. Walk around, I mean, because obviously you won't go from a city hall to a ballroom, so you have to be comfortable in your shoes. Obviously you can also change for the photo shoot if you want to, but what I would recommend, because you have a long dress in general anyways, is having some sneakers or just, you know, hiking shoes under your dress. Nobody's gonna see it anyways, and you could be much more comfortable. So obviously the cost of the dress, accessories, this is true for like any type of wedding, so it is also true for elopements. Note that in Europe it's not very common to rent a wedding gown, so it is not a service that you'll be easily finding anywhere, so I really don't recommend on planning on it. I would rather have you just buy a beautiful dress off like secondhand dress, or something, like even like I've found some extremely beautiful dresses on AliExpress, to be honest. Like I've done shoots with dresses from AliExpress and you could never ever say they were from AliExpress. So obviously I would recommend having a wedding designer, a dress designer, do your wedding dress, because you know it's much more personal to you and it fits you much better. But if you're on a budget, go this route. Also, so in terms of what you have to think about, so travel, plane tickets, maybe some visa tickets, visa prices, I mean. If you go to Bali, for instance, you have to pay a tourist tax to visit Bali, you have to pay for your visa to get into Indonesia. That's also true for some other places like in Africa or in Asia, where you have to pay for your visa either in advance or on arrival if it's possible. but that is still something that you have to account into your kind of wedding budget in general. So food as well. If you want to have like, let's say, a 5-course meal on Santorini, it's gonna cost you a lot much more money than having a picnic somewhere, obviously. So you have lots of options in terms of food, but that absolutely depends on the experience and the vision that you have for your elopement day. So if you want something that is very personalized and intimate, like let's say a picnic on top of a mountain, you can just go to the grocery store and buy the most delicious food ever, local, with some bread or some spreads or anything that you want, and just have that picnic, or like buy some pizzas. I've done that before. It was amazing. And you can also go to a Michelin star restaurant. It's absolutely up to you, but this is also something that you have to take into account into your wedding budget. And obviously, some destinations are much more expensive than others. So let's say if you go to Iceland or the Faroe Islands, it's gonna cost you much more money for accommodation and car rental and gas than if you go to Greece or to Thailand, for instance. Some destinations are much more expensive than others, so take that into account when you make the decision to get married somewhere. Yeah, that's pretty much, to be honest, that's pretty much it. So, for some locations like Bali, I would recommend having a driver to drive you around, because it can be a little bit hectic to drive around by yourselves on this island, and you don't want anything happening to you like on your wedding day, for sure. So I would recommend having a driver if you're not comfortable driving in a foreign country. So that has to be taken into account as well for the budget. And so apart from that, you have some other vendors like music vendors, somebody to play the music or to sing at your elopement. That's also possible. What have I seen? To be honest, that's pretty much it, because I don't use props, and yeah, in general, this will be kind of the oldest stuff that I would take into account into your wedding budget when you plan on doing an elopement outside of your country. Um, some places, if you want to go the legal route, and it's possible, which is not always the case, then you might have the option as well of you might have to pay for the wedding license to get it. That is the case in Iceland. You have to pay a little fee, and Faroe Islands as well. So just so you know, it's not a huge fee, but it has to be taken into your wedding budget. And that's pretty much it. I'm out of things to add to your wedding budget. So I hope this was helpful. And if you have any questions, just drop them below in the comments.